What up, YouTube? You already know. Big Lou tapping back in with What It Do with Big Lou and MCR2, baby. So, first time you coming to the channel, highly appreciate it if you like to share the channel with your family, friends, folks, people, gente, buddy, pals, amigos, and like us, Puertorriqueños, Boricuas, Jibaritos, Portorros, panas. I hadn't been on lately. I just ain't been feeling it. I was under the weather bad a couple days ago, literally shivering. I got wet, and I guess I got sick. I don't know how to explain it. I got wet, and I had the shivers for a couple of days. I was all bundled up, and I still was shaking and shivering and doing a fish out of water and so on and so forth. Nah, I'm playing, but nah, I wasn't feeling good. I guess it came from getting wet. When it rained, we got a bad a storm the other night. But anyways, they're snoring back there. I guess that's what happens after you get a full stomach. I just fed them. Anyways, what I was gonna say, this is to my reaction to the Canelo Alvarez John Ryder fight. Uh, I thought Canelo came out. I thought he was working pretty good. Going to definitely with some good body shots. I seen him go downstairs, upstairs, back downstairs, downstairs, upstairs. He was working pretty good. He got a drop. He dropped him. I think it was the fifth round. But he was never able to end him. He was never able to finish him. Even also in another round, they called it a slip. Um, I thought it was a legit clear knockdown. But then I read some comments and it said that it was clear that he tripped over Canelo's left foot. So then I went back and watched it again, just keeping my eyes only on the feet. And it did look like he made contact with his left foot, but then he gets hit, and that's what drives him to the floor. I don't think it was really like just a straight up trip over his foot. Like I said, I guess that would be his right foot because he's southpaw, right? So his right foot made contact with Canelo's left foot, but then Canelo hits him and he falls. Like I said, the referee uh, ruled it a slip, no knockdown. Um, I still felt it was a knockdown. Um, it was pointed at, well, I mean, I watched some a few different channels and their reactions to the fight. These guys were pretty straightforward in Canelo's favor, saying he looked good, which he did look good. Probably the first 8 rounds. Uh, a lot of people, people talk shit, and Ryder was his mandatory. I forgot what belt it was for. I'm pretty sure it was the WBC because Mauricio Solomon was there. I'm pretty sure it was mandatory in WBC, but I thought he was the franchise WBC champion. Therefore, he don't have to face mandatory. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure really what belt that was for. For some reason, I'm thinking IBF or WBO. Um, so I'm not really sure about that. Yeah, because from my understanding, if you're the WBC franchise champion, you do not. The mandatories does not. Uh, that doesn't fall under you. Like in other words, it doesn't pertain to you. That's the word I was looking for. So Canelo has a surgery on his hands, and if you watch Showbiz, I want to say it's like 2 weeks ago, he says members of his team watched back some old fights, and sure enough, Canelo was showing favor towards one of his hands being something wrong with it. And then when you watch back, when they played back some of his fights, because Showbiz put it on his channel, he actually is saying why he's watching the fight. What's wrong with Canelo's hand? Why he's holding like that? So obviously, and then Canelo came out too saying that it's been bothering him since wherever. I think he said the Caleb Plant fight. So here he has hand surgery. So he's kind of like, he hasn't fought since his Bivol loss, which was September, right? I believe, because he usually fights May and September for the Cinco de Mayo holiday. Well, actually, it's not a holiday. Battle of Puebla. Batalla de Puebla, and Mexican Independence Day, September 16th weekend. Um, so I believe the last time he fought was against Bivol, which was September. Nonetheless, so here he is fighting his mandatory, and he's coming back from hand surgery. So this was kind of like a tune-up fight for him, even though it was his mandatory. Now, with that being said, some guys will not. Sometimes they won't fight their mandatories, and they'll just go ahead and vacate the belt because they have 2 or 3 other belts, or 1 or 2 other belts. We've seen that lots of times with Riddick Bowe. We've seen Josh Taylor do it recently. We've seen a lot of guys do that, right? I think Triple G even did it recently, vacated a belt or 2. So we see that a lot. Or the other option is you pay the step aside money, right? So you pay the guy anywhere from, depending who the fighter is, you could pay him anywhere from. I mean, I know there's no set prices, but in order for somebody to step aside in a championship fight as a contender, they're gonna want a million, 2, 3 million. I would say probably 2 million, 2, 3 million for step aside money. You know, in order for usually how it goes is they'll pay the step aside money in order for them to fight a mega fight or two stars or 2 superstars to meet up. That's usually how that goes. But since Canelo just came back from hand surgery, he wanted to test his hand, how it was going to work. Now, as he's the undisputed at 168, what other 168 pounders are there for him to fight besides Benavidez? Everybody else he's already fought, right? He ain't fought Andrade. He ain't fought Charlo, but Charlo's 160. David Morale's 168. David Morale, I don't believe is in that league yet either. The only one is Benavidez, right? He's the only one that's got a couple good wins. The biggest win of his career was against Plant, and then he beat ex middleweight champ David Lemieux. So that's probably what's next for Canelo. But I'll say this: John Ryder had heart. He showed his heart. He's a legitimate super middleweight. You can see the difference in the body size. He was obviously the bigger man, and you can see that he was more thicker. His shoulders were wider. Canelo is fighting at 168, but let's keep it real, people. For his frame, he's a welterweight, 5'8". I think they might list him at 5'9", but he's 5'8", 5'8.5". He's fighting at 168 when he should be fighting at like 147. Even 154 is stretching it. But he's found a way to make it work for him. First middleweight, I believe he's the first middleweight Mexican champion ever. And he's also the first unanimous, undisputed champ in the 4-belt era at 168. He might be the only. Well, no, I think Bernard had 3. Bernard had 3 at middleweight. I don't know what he got at super middleweight because then he ended up going to light heavyweight. But Canelo's the first 4-belt super middleweight champion ever. So John Ryder looked good. I mean, as far as showing heart, even when he got up after getting dropped, he came up 8 count throwing. So that was probably his biggest payday thus far. I think John Ryder's fought. That was his 3rd championship fight. I think he's challenged for a title 3 times now, if I heard that correctly. The only thing about that, and I'll agree with Paulie Malignaggi on this, Canelo did seem like his endurance and his stamina and all that kind of took a big dive in the later rounds. You're undisputed. You're the world champ. Pound for pound, you're up there on the list as well. At one time, you were number 1. You got to be able to bang it out the whole 12 rounds at a high level, at a consistent level. You shouldn't be, tiring out at the 9th, 10th in the championship rounds. That could be a big that could be how you say that word, detrimental to his future. John Ryder said that he's a good fighter, but he believes his best is past him. There could be some truth to that, but at the same time, like I just mentioned, he's fighting 168 in a welterweight body. You know what I'm saying? Now, he keeps bringing up he wants to avenge his Bivol loss. And I'm with Bivol on this. Bivol's like, before we fought at 175, I beat him, right? now at this point, what is there to prove at 175? Nothing, right? He goes, I can come down to 168 and win all these belts, which is a big test for him because he's a big man, 6'1", right? Coming down to have to, not only does he have to make the weight at 175 normally, now he has to come down even 7 more pounds. Well, that's going to be a challenge in itself. Not to say it can't happen, but he's going to put a lot of stress on his body. And so he's like, I wouldn't mind going down and fighting him there because that's like a big accomplishment, right? And then at the same time, he's like, I don't really have nothing to prove though, so you know the money's got to be right. Otherwise, there's no reason for me to do it. You know, we're talking like a good, we're talking a good, I don't know what he got last time to be honest. So I might be off when I say this because I don't know what he made the last fight, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I'm pretty sure it wasn't 30% of the purse. So this fight's got to be at least 60 70 30, if not 60-40, 65-35, something, right? And he might, in my opinion, he's even entitled more than that. He handled Canelo easy, right? He handled Ramirez easy. um at this point, like I just said, he don't have nothing to prove to take this fight other than making money, right? It's time. It's his time, right? So, if it's not right, he's not going to take the fight. Now, Canelo shouldn't even be tripping on this no more. He should just get past it. Um, and to keep it real, I don't know what he had said back when he had lost to Floyd. Did he want a rematch there? I don't know because unfortunately I was busted at the time. I was in the pen, so I didn't even get to watch that fight. I got to read it in the newspaper later, or I seen it on the news. Excuse me, that Saturday night in the day room. But he just needs to let it go. Canelo needs to let that go. Let that ship sail. You know what I'm saying? Let that ship sail. Because the man, he's not gonna beat him. He's not gonna beat Bivol. Bivol is too talented. His style does not match up for Canelo. I'm saying, not for him. His style is impeccable. I believe when it comes to going up against Canelo, right? Canelo was just looking for that one shot, and he didn't box really at all. You know, uh, obviously he said his hand had been bothering him since the plant fight, so that means his hand was bothering him that fight as well. But he did beat up Bivol's arm right there. So he was looking for that one shot to try to knock him out. And you're talking now even bigger man than John Ryder. You're talking about a 6'1" guy. Yeah, he's 6'1", 6'2". 175-pound fighter who probably walks around at probably 195. 190, 195 when he's not in training. So in my opinion, he just needs to let that go. It is what it is. You lost. It was your first loss in 8 or 9 years, whatever it was. It was only your second loss overall. It wasn't like that was your first, your first victory, your first defeat. Excuse me, which we know that came from Floyd back in 13 or 14. I think it was 13. Yeah, because I got out in February of 14. So yeah, I got out February 16th, 2014. So that fight was sometime in 13. Uh, he just needs to let it go. Let it go. Figure out who you're gonna fight next in the super middleweight division. Benavidez, if it's gonna be David Morale, if it's gonna be Jamal Charlo. Actually, today I seen something come up about him fighting Badu Jack, who is an ex-champion, veteran fighter, ex-champion. That I think Badu Jack, if he either was a super middleweight champ, if not, he was a light heavyweight champ. I don't know if he's gonna go up and fight him at light heavyweight, or if they're gonna fight at a catch weight, or if Badu's coming down to 168. I'm not sure about that. I'll find that out. I didn't really read the article; it just popped up on the top of the screen, so I'll let you. I'll peep that out and what I see on it. I got the hat trick coming with another video coming up about my reaction to the UFC 288. I don't know, was that flyweight or bantamweight title fight with Aljamain Sterling and Henry Triple C Cejudo. I'm gonna touch on that, and yeah, that's about it. So again, just an overall summary of this video. Canelo looked good, definitely looked good. The first 6 rounds started to slow down somewhat. The 7th and 8th definitely slowed down in those 9th, 10th, and definitely those championship rounds. He ran out of gas, ran out of steam, ran out of however you want to state it. So he definitely needs to work on more on better in his conditioning. Hats off to John Ryder for being a savage and just coming, never giving up. You know, he had his nose broke. He was even leaking blood during the post-fight conference. You know, he was talking and he wiped it, and you start seeing it come down. Do I feel that Canelo's past his prime? No, I think he's only 32. You know, that's actually prime years right there. You know what I mean? But it depends what happens here forward, because you got a lot of hungry guys coming up. You know, at some point he's gonna make a decision on what he's gonna do, if he's gonna continue fighting at 168, if he's gonna go up, or if he's gonna retire. And the reason I say that is because I heard him say if he lost to John Ryder, well, he said if he lost to John Ryder, he was gonna retire. So we'll see what happens with that, though. But definitely a good victory from Canelo, fresh off of hand surgery. Um, and yeah, I'll look into that Badu Jack, if that's got any truth to it, and I'll drop a video on it if it does. If not, then I'll leave it alone. But I'm gonna tap right back in after this one on the UFC fight reaction. Oh yeah. You know what? Let me read this. So I wanted to read this. What did it say here? So they fought in Mexico, right? Jalisco, Zapopan, Jalisco, Mexico. So yeah, he dropped him in the 5th round. We know that, right? And then let's see. Actually, I thought it had an article here. I thought it had something to read here, but let's see. So it was said, glad to share the ring with you. Saul Alvarez and John Ryder show their respects in the dressing room, with the Mexican commending the English fighter for his toughness after defending his super middleweight crowns. Alvarez has commended. Jesus. Man, you guys hear that? Like a straight person, man. Just has commended John, and they're farting too at the same time. I don't know which one it is. I'm pretty sure it's Daisy. God. Has commended John Ryder for his toughness as successfully defending his undisputed super middleweight crowns on Saturday night following an unanimous decision victory. It was a gusty performance from the English fighter who, in front of 50,000 people in Guadalajara, Mexico, took Alvarez to the distance in what was heroic effort against one of the world's best boxers. The fight was scored 120, 107 on one card, 118, 109 on the other two, with Alvarez taking the win to go 59, 2-2. The Mexicans certainly had the advantage fighting in front of a home crowd, but Ryder, who despite suffering his 6th loss in 38 career fights, fought. Hey, shut up! She goes right back to snoring. Jeez. Who despite suffering his 6th loss in his 38 career fights, fought gallantly throughout the 12 rounds. After the bout, the pair were seen shaking hands and exchanging words in the dressing room, and it was clear that there were no bad blood between them. Alvarez commending the Englishman for being tough. Saul successfully defended his undisputed super middleweight crown on Saturday. And so we know he beat him. So that was pretty much it. Oh no, here we go. Good fight. Ryder could be overheard saying as Alvarez approaches him to shake hands. Ryder, who was sporting a swollen eye and a bandage around his nose, added, "Good shot." Canelo replied, "Yeah, I know, the second round." And at the end of the second round, right, the last shot as well, just before the bell. Ryder said, "Yeah, I felt it. You're tough. Very strong. Glad to share the ring with you," Alvarez said. "Thank you. It's an honor," the Englishman said. Both fighters used the first 2 rounds to assess each other before a Canelo jab caused blood to pour from Ryder's nose. Hey, come on. I can't even hear over here. Daisy. Canelo then, nigga, she don't even bother her. She's just still snoring. Canelo then knocked Ryder down with a clean 1-2 in the fifth round, and it looked ominous for the 34-year-old uh, Islington man. Impressively, he got back up and fought through the 12 rounds, taking multiple vicious punches throughout the fight, but held on until the last bell, despite spitting blood from his mouth. Ryder had previously lost 5 career fights to Billy Joe Saunders, Nick Blackwell, and Jack Arnfield, Rocky Fielding, and most recently Callum Smith in 2019 by unanimous decision. So he's been in there with some good guys. He wasn't able to beat any of them. Um, let's see. The loss ended his 4-fight win streak with his record now sitting at 32-6. Alvarez, meanwhile, has gone 2 for 2 in his last 2 bouts after he defeated Triple G back in September, bouncing back from his loss to Dimitri Bivol earlier in the summer. Oh, that's right. I forgot he fought Triple G. So actually, 3 fights back, he had that injury to the hand because he fought Bivol. He fought Triple G, Bivol, and Caleb Plant. I forgot all about that. But it seems the undisputed super middleweight champion has eyes on a rematch with Russian Orthodox fighter. Wasted no time in calling out Bivol following his victory against Ryder. Everyone knows we want Bivol, Alvarez said in the ring on Saturday. If the fight with Bivol don't happen, then we'll see. Promoter Eddie Hearn has previously said that he could instead face Benavidez at super middleweight, who recently defended his WBC interim title against Caleb Plant. But Alvarez seems to have his eyes on the rematch. Yeah, he needs to get those eyes off that rematch. Because I don't believe it's a win. There's no win. He's not gonna win. He's just not gonna win. The dude got his number. His style and his style and his just his overall skills are just too much for Canelo, and it's the fact of his size as well. I believe it's just, even though Canelo's got a good chin and he's not afraid. He's not afraid to fight. It's just the fact the guy's just too big for him. He's too big, and that, along with his style and his skills, are just too much for Canelo. Like I said, you're fighting a guy that's 6'1", 6'2", in the ring at 175 light heavyweight, who probably walks around at 190, right? We'll just say 190. And here he is, 5'8.5". I think they might list him at 5'9", 5'9.5", but he's probably more like 5'8", and a welterweight body. The stature of a welterweight, 147. They're both snoring now. You guys hear them? 2 American bulls snoring. You know what I mean? You guys hear that? Here, let's be quiet for a second. Yep. Daisy snores like a straight person, though. Jeez. Unbelievable. So with that being said, peoples, I'm going to go ahead and tap out, and I hit you with the next one. Go Warriors. Hopefully we tie the series up 2-2. We're up at halftime right now. That's why I decided to drop this video. It was 52-49, I believe, at half. They're playing in L.A. Hopefully they can tie it back up tonight and go back to the Bay tied up 2-2. All right, people. With that being said, Big Lou, the 2 snorers back there, Daisy Queen, a.k.a. Daisy La Azula, and Campeón del Mundo, a.k.a. Champ.